Ezekiel, with all these achievements and the interaction with the senior government officials or senior people in the globe, I must think that you have come across issues of integrity. How can you define integrity? Because I think from your story, you've led some organization where the question of integrity was opened. Why people are not behaving. So how can one, as a leader, accomplish integrity first to himself and to the organization that is leading?
I always talk about 3 E's of greatness. And I think that's what a leader should be. And to accomplish success, you must have the 3 E's of greatness: education, experience, and exposure. You want to give value to the wider good for people to live together. You see, talk about my desire to promote moral values, and I told you the media called me the moral cop. If you land at the airport, the port of entry in this country, and ask for the moral cop, you'll be shown one person called Dr. Ezekiel. They don't want to be mentored. They don't want to be guided. They don't want to be, because what they are watching, there is a way that movie is done to normalize cutting corners and the quick fixes. And you are exposed to that over and over again. So they are wondering, why should I go to school for so long and get old when I'm not rich, when you can just bet and become instant millionaire?
Welcome to Aslead Servant Leadership Podcast. In Aslead, we nurture servant leaders to serve and lead for the sake of others, putting the interest of those they lead ahead of theirs. Our great emphasis is about the being of a leader over the doing of a leader. When we talk about the being of a leader, we mean the character of a leader. In today's podcast, we have Dr. Ezekiel Mutua, an executive leader, to talk about the role of integrity in the life of a leader. Before we dive into this exciting topic, Dr. Mutua, tell us, who is this man who has been in social media leading, showing people how to lead, interacting with the people in the leadership? Who is Dr. Ezekiel Mutua?
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Mulinge, first of all, for this opportunity to participate in your podcast. I am Dr. Ezekiel Mutua, and I'm the CEO of the Music Corporate Society of Kenya. Music Corporate Society of Kenya is a collective management organization, CMO, that is charged with administering copyright on behalf of artists, particularly authors, publishers, composers, and arrangers. We represent the main category of rights in music. And our job right now is to ensure that we administer copyright to ensure that music becomes profitable and useful and respected career, so that we turn our artists who have been just singing music as a talent or producing music as a talent to make it a source of income. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, leading the team at Music Corporate Society of Kenya, MCSK, to ensure that they achieve, our artists achieve that goal. Before I became CEO of MCSK, I was the CEO of Kenya Film Classification Board, where the media called me the moral cop. I was the regulator of the content that is watched on TV and heard on radio, cinema halls, and so on. And I was at Kenya Film Classification Board for a while. So a lot of people still associate me with that regulatory role. I am a Kenyan, born and brought up in a place called Mwala in Machakos County. Been around for a while. I have gone to school, schooling in the village, Ikumen Primary School, Mwala Secondary School, Tala High School. Went for my first degree in Kenyatta University. Later on, went for my master's in the University of Nairobi, and later on for my PhD in Moi University. I have many honorary doctorates and many certificates in my area of career, which is communication and media. I worked with the Nation Media Group from 1994 to 2002, as rising from a trainee reporter all the way to an editor with the Nation Media Group, when that was the biggest media house in East and Central Africa. I later on was elected by all the journalists in this country and became Secretary General of the Kenya Union of Journalists in 2002, a job that I did for 5 years to 2007, when I joined the government as Director of Information and Public Communications. I had the privilege of managing some of the worst crises in communication in this country, the post-election violence of 2007, 2008. I was the Director of Information, therefore coordinating. And I found grace because during that period as Director of Information, I had also been appointed as a member of the UN Secretary General's Committee on Information, serving in New York and attending all the committee meetings because I was a member of that committee. I was also the global vice chairman of the UNESCO's Committee on Information and Communication based in Paris, France. And out of that, I interacted with the UN Secretary General, then Kofi Annan, and other people. So when they came to mediate, I actually was playing a very crucial role as a communicator. And I was able to interact closely and work with them on policies. And one of the greatest achievements that I consider myself to have done was actually managing the communication in that time. We established Brand Kenya Board, where I was, I actually initiated it. I was a board member. We started the Media Council of Kenya, where I was also a board member. I was a director in KBC. I was a director in about 7 state parastatals simultaneously while serving as Director of Information and Public Communication. Later on, I was promoted to the highest communication and information cadre in the country, in the Republic of Kenya, as Secretary of Information, where I served until 2015 when I joined Kenya Film Classification Board. So basically, that is my area. I have been here, done that.
Dr. Ezekiel, with all these achievements and the interaction with the senior government officials and senior people in the globe, I must think that you have come across issues of integrity. How can you define integrity?
For me, integrity is the ability to do the right thing even when no one is watching. The discipline to do the right thing, not the popular thing. As a leader, you cannot be liked by everybody, and you don't lead by popularity or celebrity status. So for me, it is the essence of putting the people that you lead ahead of your personal interest, putting the cause and the wider good of the public ahead of your personal interest, and doing it even when it's not popular. When I was Secretary General of KUJ, that is a time when the gutter press was coming up, and they were maligning people and destroying families and careers. And as a leader, and the foresight, because that's another necessary ingredient of integrity, to have also foresight, to bring in a code of ethics for journalists for the first time in the history of this country. And the journalists didn't like it because it was more of regulation. But my take was that we have to uphold a code of ethics, some professional standards, some do's and don'ts that are defined by ourselves if we are going to be to lay a claim to our profession as a profession, because lawyers have their own code of conduct, engineers have their own, accountants, all professions have codes of conduct, but journalists, in the name of press freedom and freedom of expression, who did not want to be regulated. They wanted a catch of anything goes. And when I brought in the crusade to have the code of ethics and set up the media council, it was very unpopular with the most media houses. But I saw a time will come when they will like it. Now we have a very strong media council, one of the highly funded state organs. It is quasi government. It's both independent, in line with Article 35. that 4 of the Constitution, but it's also funded by the government to the tune of 1 billion.
Wow.
When we started, it was very unpopular and I was maligned. I was trolled. I had a lot of negative publicity.
Yes.
But it had to be done so that we can be where we are, where the media can regulate themselves. Because my take was, if we do not regulate ourselves, then we will invite government regulation. And as a leader, I had the foresight, but also the fortitude to be able to say this is the way to go, and that's the way we are going to go. Whether it's popular or not, it's the right thing. So the capacity to do the right thing, even when it's not popular with the masses, but it's for the wider good.
Yes.
It's what is good for the future. It's what laid foundation for stable nations. Because Dr. Mulinge, my personal belief, and a very firm one at that, is that nations rise or fall on the basis of their moral values.
Yes, sure.
The foundation that you lay. And if there is no foundation for discipline, to be able to say, yes, I could do it, it sounds popular. It might give me instant gratification or fame, but it's not the right thing, and I will not do it. I could be able to strike a deal and become rich and take a shortcut. But integrity is the discipline to follow the process and say, I want to be held accountable to the people that I serve. I not holding them accountable, but them to hold me accountable. And for them to hold me accountable, there must be standards then that we have agreed. You see, Kenya as a country is not just a geographical region. Countries are not just geographical regions with the population. It is people living in particular places with shared values, faith, national aspirations, and culture. And they agree, these are our shared values. We believe in this, we uphold this. Like in Kenya, we believe in family. Any leader worthy their sort will push for us to be able to uphold the family values. They will push for example, to have laws that protect this country from the LGBTQ agenda. Because we as a country, even our constitution recognizes family as the basic unit of society, recognizes culture in chapter 11 as the cumulative civilization of the Kenyan people. That we are, because we have shared values, we have shared faith, we have shared beliefs. So we are not just anyone. Ugandans can live here, but if they don't believe in our values, they are not part of Kenya. But if you came here and you said, me, I embrace what you believe in. And once you come to Kenya, by the way, you got to be governed by those laws. You can't bring your Americanness to Kenya and say, I'm going to challenge your values. So that people living together with shared faith, shared beliefs, shared culture, then can call themselves a nation. And that must be the work of a leader to ensure that those fundamental pillars that define that group of people living together with shared values, that they have agreed. This is the code of ethics. This is our code of governance. These are our values. These are our beliefs. This is what makes us who we are and why we are different from the other community or from other nations, because we are bound by these beliefs. So that when we are now have agreed on those values, it's the work of the leader to ensure that the country does not deviate, the society does not deviate. That is not a very popular thing. Because society evolves and it's dynamic. It's not constant. So the values that you upheld 20 years ago may be challenged by globalization and ICT and handheld devices and all these things and the intermingling of many people with different beliefs. It is you to have the foresight to see how you keep aligning so that you don't lose your fundamental definition of who you are.